Yo, what's up guys? I'm out here at Chris's house today. We're going to do a final walkthrough of his car. We're going to pull off the wheels and tires right now and show you all its suspension, because essentially this car is all suspension mods with a stock engine and just a couple bolt-ons. Now under the hood of the car, still has a stock D16A6 engine. He didn't add a lot of mods here. The DC header came with the car. He added the intake, a silicone hose kit, also the plug wires. And then he just did general maintenance like a new fuel filter. He also changed the oil and transmission fluid and both of the axle seals. Then we changed all the timing belt for gates, and also the water pump and tensioner, and the cam and crank seal too. And so not a huge amount of money was spent in the engine bay. Now for the front suspension, he's using the EF Parts front camber kit. These are some Summit coils. These you can purchase off their website, and it's nice because you can pick the spring rates. I sold these to him a long time ago when we first did the suspension swap, and he's running a 450 spring rate in the front. He's on the Tokiko Illumina shocks. These are the adjustables. He has some stainless steel braided brake lines. He's using the J2 spherical lower control arms. We replaced the rack and pinion with the brand new one he swapped out from AutoZone. Also brand new tie rod ends. He's using the DA front sway bar, which is the larger diameter. We were talking about it, and I can't remember, it's either 23 or 24 millimeter. And the energy suspension end links. And lastly, he's using EBC rotors with EBC red stuff brake pads. And so for the front, it's a pretty simple setup. It's at negative 2.5 camber, and everything is just fundamentally sound now with some adjustable shocks and a coil spring rate of his choice. And now moving on to the rear, it also has a handful of nice little mods. Of course, the rear trailing arms, these are actually 9091 CRX specific, so they don't stick out any further as the DA ones would. We installed the blocks spherical rear trailing arm bushings. We also installed the Godspeed spherical compensator arms or toe arms. It has the PCI spherical upper camber arms. He's using a rear lower tie bar that I got off eBay. I gave that to him. And also a set of EM USA lower control arms. And for the rear, it's also the Summit springs, and these are at 350 spring rate. And also the Tokiko Illumina adjustable shocks. Then he has the stainless steel brake lines. And these are just some stock rotors on the rear, but also some EBC red brake pads. And the exhaust is that $92 eBay exhaust, either a Spec D or a DNA. We were talking about it right now, and we can't remember which particular brand it was, but they all seem to be of the same build and same price range. And at the front of the exhaust, we have that eBay 2.25 inch. That's that test pipe you buy for around $25–30. Now the track wheel setup that he's using are my old Buddy Club Kuroki's. These are the P1s. These are a 15x7 and a +40 offset. And the rubber on them is some Nitto NT01 sized 205/50. And so that kind of wraps it up for going over the mods. It's relatively easy to get your car set up for the track. The mods that he picked out, we were adding up the totals right now, and it came out to a lot more than what we were thinking. We were kind of laughing about the amount, and he was surprised because he'd never added all of it up. Now, we bought the car back in March. We went to go pick it up together. I have some pictures. I'm going to include those here on the screen so you can take a look at it, what it looked like then. And then at the very end of the video, I'll include all of the links to the previous videos where we first filmed it, just in the state that it was when he bought it. And then a couple of the other videos where we started actually getting some work done on the car, and to its current state today. So at the prices of everything he bought, that includes a lot of new parts, some used, he spent about $3,200, which if you're adding that up, that's quite a bit for throwing it on here. But the car is now fundamentally sound. There's no ball joint, bushing, bearing that needs to be replaced on this particular car. It's completely set up from the ground up in terms of suspension. The only thing that we could really add to it would be some more power, and maybe just start cleaning the car up, like painting and some sort of other aero mods if you want to do something in that route. And so some could argue that he spent way too much on a car that he only paid $1,200 for. So if you look at the price of the car plus all the mods he put in, you're gonna have a $4,400 car right here. Now, would most people pay that much for this car? Probably not. I can't imagine if he sold it in the state it is, people would probably want to lowball him and give him like $2,000 to $2,500 for this particular model with all the parts that's on it. But that's not gonna happen. This car's not getting sold anytime soon. I imagine. You think you're gonna keep it for a while?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be in his possession for quite a long time. How long have you owned your other CRX for? Can't remember. His red CRX SI, the one we put the JDM front on, he has owned for 11 years now. So this one we'll probably see for the foreseeable future at least, unless he absolutely necessarily needs to sell it, say for some sort of life-changing circumstance. But other than that, it's going to be in his possession for quite a long time. And then the interior was relatively unchanged. Like the shifter, yeah, you can buy those relatively easily. The seats he picked up, he'd had these actually before he bought the car. They were for he wanted to find an 88 HF, a blue one particularly, but this popped up and the price was good. So he had the seats already. So the parts I'm showing you, like stuff like that, it's not a necessity. You don't necessarily need those to build your track car. You could have left the stock ones in there beat up the way they were with torn bolsters and everything. And that goes for the rear interior. The ones that he had before were a little torn up, the ones that came with the car, and he'd gotten all these other pieces just to make it a lot nicer back here. Even though it's a track car, he still wanted the interior just for, it seems to make it a little bit more comfortable. But I imagine in the progression of the car, he'll eventually have it fully gutted. Probably upgraded seat. Upgraded seat. Maybe some bars in the rear, maybe a roll bar in the future. So he has a lot of plans for the car, similar to the way I have for mine. But you guys know it just takes time, it takes a little money to get all that put together. And so that's kind of it, guys. Complete walk around of it. I wanted to go over the prices with you. Now, we were talking about it right now. He picked the car up on March 14th. Well, that's the first day we looked at it. I'm gonna include a picture of that here as well. And then we drove it home on March 19th. So in that time frame, we're looking at about 9 months. And we were doing the math right now. 9 months divided by the $3,200 he's put into it equals about $355 per month. So if you look at it, it's not a huge amount, especially if you save your money correctly. He's bought and sold other parts to help accommodate that, some that I do as well. And we also included in that $3,200 the wheel and tire setup. I sold them those buddy clubs with tire for $500, but they have plenty of life left on them still, and he's going to be able to use them for all of next season also. So that was actually a good buy, because if you buy those tires brand new alone, you're looking at $600 cheapest, usually about $620 for that set. And same with those buddy club wheels. Maybe you can find those used, maybe like $300 or $400, or if you want to buy them brand new, they're about $670 on JHP. So the amount of money you put into it, the time, 9 months, we did quite a bit of work where it's sitting at. He's really happy with the progression of where it's at now. And so after looking at it, what do you guys think? How do you guys feel about the amount of money that he's put into it? You feel like it's fair? Do you feel like he overdid it, went a little too far with it? Or do you think it justifies it for what he's using it for? Purely for fun? It's really straight bodied still. It could use a little bit of work on the exterior, but it's a track car. It's going to take a little bit of abuse at the track. We don't got to worry about going off track. I mean, you may have seen in the video that we had 2 weeks ago where he went off track a couple times, and obviously running over some of those little cactus and bushes out there. And that damage can be seen on the lip now, where it's kind of rubbed off some of the paint. So I feel like for a track car, that's perfectly fine. You don't want to have something that's too pretty out there, especially when you're learning. Now, maybe a year, 2 years from now, when he's a lot more familiar with the car and just the seat time he's accumulated, maybe then and get it painted and not have to worry about it as much, because you'll be a better driver and in better control of the car. And so naturally, of course, he's going to keep working on the car. And he has a list of upgrades that he wants to do. So what's the first one?
Gonna swap out the brake master cylinder, the brake booster.
Okay, so brake master cylinder, brake booster. And And that was apparent at the track. We were talking about it there where he felt like he had no brakes. So this master cylinder probably needs to be replaced. The booster, maybe not so much, but he's changing that out anyway just to have upgraded feel on his brakes. And what's next after that?
Then I want to do the fuel pump.
Fuel pump?
Yeah.
Okay, that's another smart thing to do. We'll just do an upgraded one because 270 some, was it 279?
280.
280 now on the chassis. It's gone up, obviously we've been driving it. 280,000 on the chassis, unknown fuel pump status. It's just one of the smart things to do. After that,
Then I want to get the rear ASR sway bar. Change
Okay.
the stock one out.
so he's going to change out that stock rear sway bar, go to the ASR
Then I wanted to get the KTunes spherical tie rod ends.
for the front,
For the
right?
front, yeah.
Okay, so you want to do this K-tuned. That'll be, are those inverted? Do they go on top or on the bottom
On
of
the bottom.
Okay, so it's a little bit different setup for a lowered car. Okay.
And then I wanted to swap out the Godspeed tow arm for the PCI.
Okay, so he's gonna upgrade those he wants to get the PCI for the compensator arms. How come? Just because?
Just a match.
Just a match?
The E-base suspension.
Okay.
parts off.
Get rid of some of the less expensive ones, but obviously they worked perfectly fine at the track that last event. When we take them off, we'll kind of double check and see how the bearings look. And then?
The last thing I want to do is get a traction bar
Okay,
with adjustable radius rods.
traction bar, so that way you can get rid of just the stock cross member that's in there. Which one do you want to go with?
Probably the new innovative one.
Okay, I don't know if you guys have seen that new innovative one. That thing looks super beefy and doesn't have billet arms. The radius rods are like billet, I believe.
Yeah, and then they're like
So, yeah.
bent to avoid the pulley.
That's correct. Okay, cool. So I'll throw a little picture up of that in case you guys haven't seen it. That bar looks fantastic. I'm sure it has great clearance, similar to the innovative traction bar already. And then what about the motor swap? Eventually, or?
Actually, not anytime
Okay.
soon.
He has a B16 long block that I sold him. Gosh, probably like a year already now he's had it. And that motor will eventually make its way into here at one point in time. I think that's maybe when you get a little better at driving and just learning it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show the suspension miles.
I agree. This motor is stout, it's strong. Once you learn it, you can just get a little bit faster at the track. And that'll kind of wrap it up for today, guys. This is by no means the end of this car you'll see on this channel. Of course, once we get out to the track again in March, I'm sure you'll see some more footage of it. And any mods that we do along the way that me and Chris have the opportunity to get together on days off, you know, I'll definitely be willing to help him out, and we'll get that recorded just so we can keep on tracking the progression of his 88 CRX SI. I want to thank all you guys for taking the time to watch it, and hope you guys like the build series on his car. And I really have to say thanks to Chris for letting me actually film it with him and work on it with him. It's always so much fun, and just learning and moving forward and making cars look and perform better every day. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next time.